And now, live from the studios of Freedom's Phoenix, Ernest Hancock.
Turn on the tube, what do I see? A whole lot of people dying, don't blame me. They point their crooked little fingers at everybody else. Spend all the time feeling sorry for themselves. Victim of this, victim of that. Your mama's too thin and your daddy too fat. Get over it. Get over it. All this whining and crying, bitching and fit. Get over it.
Hey, get over it here and declare your independence with me, Ernest Hancock, here in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, where it's the home of the Freedom Summit, freedomsummit.com. Make sure you go there, select student, get your discount, because we want all our friends there, because, you know, we're doing a lot of advertising on the Clear Channel station here, and what happened was, this is the station that Charles Goyette was on, and now he did a lot of the voicings of them, so all of a sudden we say, hey, that's Charles. Yeah, we love Charles. Charles is back. He's back. You know, this is and Jim Sharp is another good friend of ours. He's the morning show over there now, and he was a speaker at the first Freedom Summit. He was our MC, and he's going to help MC this year's also. So he's always going, yeah, you know, my good friend Charles is going to be there too. So you're getting a lot of.
Oh, that's great fun.
It's cool that we were able to do that. And the one thing that I really want to make sure that we emphasize on is that we're kind of bringing over people that got exposed by the Ron Paul revolution that were on the Republican side. And when they, at least whether they agreed with it or not, they were like, hey, what he said is what's happening here. Let's give that boy a listen. All of a sudden, like Charles was saying before, these talk show hosts that have been, poo, now they're going, hey man, yeah, we were always Austrian economists. Yeah. We were always.
But let me tell you what I love best about the Freedom Summit. This is what I love best about it. It's right here in Phoenix, so I don't have to fly anywhere and get X-ray backscattered, scanned, and groped by some.
Ne'er-do-well.
some vagabond TSA guy. It's really nice to be able to go to a major summit like this and not get groped. Those of you that have to travel, hey, you can take the train, you can drive. Anyway, you can fly.
Well, let's go ahead. We promised him we'd talk about this. You know, we got the your website up, and you know this Robert Novak thing when he was here at the Ritz-Carlton in Phoenix. Yeah. This was when was he? This is September 11th, 2003.
Let me tell the story real quickly. It was Joseph Wilson, the husband of the famous CIA agent Valerie Plame, the subject of the movie Fair Game that's out right now with Sean Penn. So the story hits. I was kindly disposed to Robert Novak because he was one of the few conservative commentators that knew that these, you know, talk about all the misrepresentations about the war. He understood it was all bogus. So in July of 2003, he writes a column. Joseph Wilson had come back from Niger and said there's no way that what Bush said in his State of the Union address, that we subsequently found out the CIA told him he shouldn't use in October, and he took it out because they knew it was untrue. But he put it into the State of the Union address. Joseph Wilson said, "Look, I've been an ambassador to Africa, acting ambassador in Iraq and stuff. I went over there. Check this out. There's no way that any of this could be true about yellow cake from Niger for the weapons program that didn't exist in Iraq." And so he was astonished that the Bush administration was telling these lies, which everybody knows now are lies. So he wrote a piece for the New York Times called "What I Didn't Find in Africa," and talking about how he went over there and he investigated this and he found it couldn't possibly be true, these representations. So bam, like the heat of the White House came down on him. They started trying to destroy him personally. And in the course of doing that, they outed his wife, who was working on real weapons of mass destruction proliferation for the CIA, cost unknown assets and people's lives that were cooperating with her, including nuclear scientists in places like Iraq and so on and so forth. And I saw this story from Robert Novak. He put her name, he blew her cover in his newspaper column in July of 2003. Joseph Wilson went over there and he said, but, you know, his wife is a CIA agent and here's her name. And he just exposed her cover and the cover company that she was using to do her WMD non-proliferation stuff. All of this is in the movie. It's worth seeing. I look at this story and I think, I'm not brain dead like the rest of the national media because nobody treated it as though it was important. I look at this Novak story and I go, oh my gosh, the White House is trying to destroy this man for speaking out and telling the truth, and to send a signal to other would-be whistleblowers, anybody that might be willing to tell the truth, that we will ruin you. So they came after him with both barrels blazing, and they ruined him. And they tried to ruin her career, and they did ruin her career. But I saw this, and no, it was like the Downing Street memo. Nobody in America seemed to know that, except for a couple of bloggers, this was big stuff. So I saw this story, and I thought this, and I started talking about it on the radio. And I was about the only radio personality that I know of that was talking about this. So Robert Novak comes to town, and I said, okay, and I got invited down to the Goldwater Institute. He's given a luncheon speech to be introduced to him. So I'm thinking, I want to know where his story came from. He said 2 senior administration officials told me. So I went there, and it was very clear to me it came from Karl Rove, the political operative, the hatchet man inside the White House. So I go down there, Robert, Charles Goyette, Bob Novak. How do you do? I'm glad you're against the war. And we chit-chatted for a while. I said, now, I've been quite interested in this story of yours about Joseph Wilson, and you blew the cover of his... Where did you get that story? And he said, well, I'm not going to tell you. And I said, well, it sounds like Karl Rove. And he said, no, it's not Karl Rove. And that's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to tell you. And I kept pushing him. He started getting a little testy with me, which is to be understood. So let it drop. After the luncheon, we're both out in front waiting for the valet to bring our cars around, standing side by side. So I, go up to him. Bob, no matter what you have told me, I've got to tell you, it's unmistakably the fingerprints of Karl Rove on this thing. It sounds like him. I know you have a history with him. There have been things that have been disclosed from Karl Rove before that you've written about. It's got to be Karl Rove. And he goes, well, I'm not going to tell you who it is, but I'll tell you one thing for sure.
It's not Karl Rove!
It's not Karl Rove. Okay. Time unfolds and all lies come visible to the public. And, of course, it was Karl Rove, 2 administration officials, Richard Armitage and Karl Rove. Robert Novak has gone to his grave now. Karl Rove came within an inch of his life and should have been indicted. Came within an inch of his life being indicted like Scooter Libby should have been. But, I mean, he did some fast talking and backtracking to get out of it and so on and so forth. But the truth comes out eventually. The problem is the American people don't understand the significance of it. But it was Karl Rove, and his fingerprints are on a lot more awful things than that. And that's the story about that.
Well, now I want to make sure that we spend a little bit of time on the aftermath.
Yeah.
Because it's not just, we had Scott Horton. I know you're good friends with Scott. You got to say, yo, what's up to him. And the one thing that we're really looking at is the aftermath of all of these. What kind of dollar figure are we going to put on these wars? I mean, is it 1, 2, 3, 20 trillion? I mean, what are we talking about? How much are we talking about here?
They fired Lawrence Lindsay, who wasn't the worst economist in the world, but he was Bush's economist from his first run for the presidency, and became like senior economic advisor to the president. So they fired him because early on in the advanced stages of the war, he said, well, this war is going to be $50 billion, maybe 100. I think he finally said maybe up to 200. Look, this war... Ultimately, and I've had Joseph Stiglitz, Nobel Prize-winning economist, tell me on my show that this war is really going to cost the American people. He wrote a book called The $3 Trillion War, and I said, that doesn't even sound right. And he says, well, to tell you the truth, he and his co-author think it's closer to a $5 trillion war. You think about that. The visible national debt of this country, not the hidden debt, but just the visible debt that everybody knows about, is closing in. By the beginning of the year, it'll be $14 trillion. $5 trillion war for what? Weapons of mass destruction that didn't exist? A quick in and out on Saddam Hussein so that Republicans could be reelected in a big way in the 2002 election and take the House and the Senate? I mean, for what? $5 trillion. It has led the United States to the doorstep of bankruptcy.
You know, this is one thing that I want to make sure we touch on. We have this promise with America. You know, here they come. And they promised us missile defense.
Let me at them.
They promised us sanctions in Iran. They promised us support of the troops. This is going to be more expense at the expense of my grandchildren. We'll let Charles Adam when we come back here in just a little bit on Declare Your Independence. Of me, Ernest Hancock, my good friend Charles Goyette. We'll be right back.